Welcome to BAM, Badass Moms with Lori and Jenny. We are moms on a mission to share women's stories about life, fitness, aging, relationships, travel, and much more. Hello, friends, and thanks for listening. I just wanted to take a second to give you a quick reminder about subscribing to the show. If you have not already, just take a moment and do so. This will make sure that you never miss a daily bite or an upcoming episode. And in addition to that, if you have a few extra moments and like to drop us a review, we'd really appreciate it. And there's also a sponsor of the show located at the bottom of all of our episodes. Once again, thank you for listening. Thank you for being badass. Hello, everybody, and thanks for joining us on another episode of The BAM. Today, we are so excited to have Sara Baker on the show. Sara has a background in corporate wellness, and her current path is she's a fitness professional. She's helped many people of all walks of life, find their healthy lifestyles, from kids to middle-aged women to basically anybody that's looking to put fitness into their world, into their day-to-day. Sara, we're so excited to have you on the show. Also, I want to mention Sara is a mom to two kiddos that we're going to talk about today, 8 and 11. Sara, welcome.
9. She wants
9. Oh yeah, almost 9, right?
She told me she's 9, not yet. She listens.
So Sara, Jenny, you guys know each other from a former life. Do you want to kind of tell us how you know her, Jenny?
Yes. One of my favorite things about doing the podcast is that I get to reconnect with old friends. And Sara and I met, 2006, 2007. So I worked at an organization, and Sara's company came in and partnered with us to do corporate wellness. So we put a fitness center in place. We put a wellness program in place. And it was one of the highlights by far of my corporate journey. So yeah, I've kind of followed Sara, and we've stayed in touch, and I've watched her fitness journey. And so when Lori and I were talking about who we wanted to have on the show, I said, I want to have Sara. So here she is.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. My kids are excited. I'm on a podcast today.
See, they're going to want now. Aren't you glad we said she's 9?
Well, and he goes, well, I hope you make it. And I said, but I'm on it. And he goes, but if you get interviewed, you don't have the job yet. And I said, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be on it still. So they're excited I'm on the podcast.
That's so awesome. So Sara, why don't you tell us kind of about your background and what led you to your current path in the fitness industry?
Yeah, thanks. I'm so excited to be here. So as you said, my background's all exercise science and nutrition. So that's what my undergrad is in. And then I have a master's degree in sports studies as well. So after grad school, I actually literally Googled corporate wellness in Colorado because I knew I wanted to come back here because this is where I grew up. I went to school out in Oregon and North Carolina, and ended up finding the previous company and worked with them for 15 years. So started just managing the fitness center. And then I kind of moved up into the director of training and education. So I oversaw all of the other fitness professionals across the country as far as their certifications go, their educations, a lot of the program we did. So I did that for 15 years. It was amazing. I got to work with a lot of, different people. The industry was great. And then COVID hit, and, I feel like that's what everyone says. Obviously the fitness industry was just pummeled and just hit so hard. I was fortunate to keep my job through COVID. And then I think it was just a catalyst for, like a lot of people say, just something to change. I was just ready to do something different and grow. And I was always nervous going out on my own. I always kind of had my side hustles, teaching and training. But I didn't know if I could do it full time. And so I kind of just took the leap. I was ready to just have a little more flexibility in my schedule. And as you guys know, it's funny, actually, as the kids get older, you almost get a little busier with all their activities and volunteering and stuff. And I didn't want to not do that. And so I took the leap in 2021 and quit the full-time job. I didn't have like a huge backup plan and was thinking I'll figure it out a little bit. And been doing that ever since. So I teach at Front Range Community College, which is another link with Jenny. So I teach weight training there. And so then I teach and train, I do nutrition coaching. I also do a lot of event planning for fitness events. Like I'm doing a men's health summit in November. I do a lot of other fitness events planning. So that also keeps me busy. So yeah, it's been awesome. Scary, but awesome.
Yeah.
I love that, I feel like being in the fitness industry for so many years myself. And, Sarah and I actually just found out a connection we have at a facility that we both apparently started at years ago. And she still does some classes there. And I just think it's so fun. But back to the fitness industry, I feel like you always have your hands in so many different pots, right? And I think that's what's so fun about it is that you're not limited, right? Like you can always do and create. And I think that's so fun. Have you found that now that you're doing it all on your own, has it been what you thought it was going to be, or has it been harder or easier?
I don't know. It depends on which month, right? Because that's probably the biggest challenge of being on your own is it's not stable. There are some months that I am so busy, and there are some months where I'm like, I wish I was a little busier. And it's hard to not get in the scarcity mindset in those months that feel a little less busy and of like, oh my God, I got to get more clients. I got to do more. So I think it's a lot more up and down. I don't know exactly what I expected. I think I'm busier than I expected, but like you said, it's so fun to be able to seek out like other avenues. And randomly now I'm working with my two niche clients are like 40-year-old moms, 40-plus-year-old moms, most of them working moms, and then high-level youth soccer clients. Mm-hmm. Like I'm training a 40-year-old mom, and then I'm actually going to go train a 15-year-old high-level soccer player. And it's so different, but so fun. So so it's a lot of up and downs, but good and bad. And so every month's a little different.
They warn you about that. But to your point, I found, and Lori and I just talked about this the other day, but there's so many things that pop up when you start working for yourself, right? And so many insecurities and so many things that you didn't know were like limiting beliefs and that kind of thing. And I was telling my husband the other day, like when work contracts and slows down, I also contract. And I almost need it to be the opposite. Like I need it when work slows down and contracts, I need to like open up and kind of embrace that. And it's that scarcity mindset thing is so huge. And so how do you manage through that?
Well, it's so funny. Every time I kind of get into that scarcity mindset, it's like the universe is telling me to knock it off because I'll feel it. And then within a week or so, something else happens. Like I get a new client inquiry or someone asks me to come do this workshop or something. So it's almost like I'm putting it out to the universe and they push right back and say, you're fine. Yeah. So I just have to realize it's okay. I can look at like, if you're basing it, let's say on income, you can base it on your average, like some months are going to be great in some months. But even yesterday I was like, wow, I have an hour till my kids get out of camp. I'm pretty much caught up and I immediately want to like, okay, who should I contact or what should I do? And I was like, I'm going on a walk.
But that's your time, right? That's your time right there to appreciate that. Although you feel like you need to be doing something, what you really need to be doing is taking care of you in that time. And I know that, but it's a tough balance, right? Because you're like, oh, I need the next client. I need to be thinking of the next big idea.
Right. Guilty. Like if I'm on a walk or going to take 15 minutes to read, I'm like, should I be doing something more productive? But that is productive because as we know, it's like, it's high intensity interval training. Like you have to rest to prevent the burnout and the overtraining. So there's going to be periods of like, go, but then there has to be periods of downtime. And I think that's probably different than the steady corporate job is it just was a lot more steady in general. Like you didn't get the breaks, but maybe you didn't have the high intensity as well. So I do feel like I'm much more into HIIT training.
I love that analogy. That is perfect. And, at the end of my corporate career, it was full on high intensity all the time. There was no downtime. And so, and I don't know when that happened. I can't even pinpoint. It just felt like this wheel kept spinning faster and faster and faster. And I was finally like, I got to get the fuck off this thing. Right. So it's like, at least now you have the time to breathe, but your brain is telling you, you got to hustle, you got to get to the next thing. And I just was talking to somebody else and, I think it was Bill Gates. He would take a full week off in the woods with a bag of books and go read for a week to like generate ideas and stuff. I'm like, and I feel guilty reading for 20 minutes in the middle of the day. I'm supposed to be working.
I would like to go in the woods with a bag of books. That sounds amazing. I have some coffee. Like that sounds amazing. I think also, I don't know. I felt like my corporate job was almost more like 60 minutes on the elliptical. Like I was just like steady state the whole time. Yeah. I took my 2 weeks a year. It was just kind of steady state, more, but I could shut down. I think having your own business is harder to like shut your brain off, because you might like be doing something at night, or like at 5 o'clock, I was like, I'm ready to go and check out. Now I feel like I'm always working or always not working. Like, it's just a lot more varied, which is fine. But I still feel 3 years into it, I'm still like, yesterday, I was like, go on a walk. So it's, I'm still trying to kind of get used to the schedule. So,
well, maybe we should be accountability partners and be like, it's okay. You can take a walk.
Yeah.
Right. You can read a book. So Sarah, let's talk about your kiddos. So you have two of them, and 8, almost 9, and an 11-year-old, boy and girl. So how has your passion of being in the fitness industry had an impact on your kids, and how do they look up to you, knowing that, mom is this like really just go, and really, passionate person about a healthy lifestyle?
It's funny. I can tell when my son is so highly competitive, and my husband looks at me and he's like, yeah, we know where he got that. And I'm like yesterday he was doing a fun 3v3 and he's like, what division are we in? Is this the highest division? And I'm like, this is just like a Wednesday night 3v3 soccer. Like, just don't calm it down a little bit. So my son has my competitive streak for sure. It's funny. My daughter has been such a good lesson for me, because I know that she doesn't love sports and fitness the way my son and I are like greyhounds. We like need to be run for 60 minutes a day at least, or we're just too anxious. My daughter would do arts and crafts all day if she could. And so it's almost like these two different personalities of my clients, right? Here's this one who's so highly motivated, competitive. I need to tell him to rest and recover and, give a little ego check once in a while. And then this one, I'm trying to encourage. Like, there are so many forms of exercise to find and way to move your body. And she quit soccer because running makes her tired, which is it's not wrong. But we had a whole like come to Jesus moment, because I think the last season she was playing for me and not for her. Yeah. And so she wanted to quit, and I could see it. And I was coaching. And so it was just a little hard dynamic. And so we had these whole conversations that I'm like, you can't play soccer for me. You need to play for you. And so now she's really into dance, which is like, I never thought I'd be a dance mom, but here I am. I'm a dance and soccer mom. It's two very different worlds. There's a lot of makeup on this one. But they've taught me so much. So I'm trying to just like work with her. And I'm like, how can you not love every activity in every sport? And so they've just been great teachers to me to be like, this is how I work with different personalities. And like, she's finding different ways to move her body that she loves. Cause that's what I truly believe. Like, if you hate running, don't run. Right. Yeah. I mean, I just can't stand that. It should never be punishment. Exercise should never be punishment, no matter if it shouldn't be, I'm trying to burn off these calories or I'm trying to make up for what I did this weekend. I never want exercise to be associated with punishment. And I tell people in my classes, I said, this is voluntary. You know that, right? Like, this isn't court-ordered community service. Like, you chose to come here. So like, try to enjoy it, and if you're miserable, let's talk and figure out another form of movement that you like.
Right.
So
I have flashbacks to like soccer in high school, and how, you just talked about that, like, running shouldn't be punishment. But think about it. If your team, like, specifically, like, doesn't do well, or you're monkeying around at practice, what do the coaches
run a lap?
They make you run a lap.
Yeah.
So it's almost like they make you really hate the act of running, right? Like,
they do. And it's funny, when I coached, I never was like, I'm never using it as punishment. Yeah. But there was one time there was so much gymnastics going on at soccer practice that I was like, no more cartwheels, please. Like, stop with the cartwheels. Like, that's what gymnastics class is for. So there were times that they were just so all over the place that I had them run to like the tree and back to regain their focus. And it's just how I phrased it, right?
Right.
Yeah. I need you to chat your heads off, running to that tree and come back. But it wasn't like, you're not paying attention, here's punishment, run to the tree. So sometimes it's just even how we phrase it to like, just kind of, let's regroup together.
My dad was my coach, and so then I was like goofing off, and I'm a talker, right? So I would chat with everybody and goof around, and he would say, go run a lap. And if I catch you, you're running another lap. So I hated running. And so when I became interested in running and started running regularly, my parents were completely floored. But it's interesting, like your point, Sarah, like embracing what they love to do, because if you try to force them into something you loved, like, I mean, when you love something so much, you want to share it. So I loved soccer. I was like told my best friend, come with me to soccer practice. You're going to love it. Of course, she took a ball to the gut, lost her breath, like wind knocked out of her, never played again. You know, it's like counterproductive.
And I think it's hard. You have to mourn. Like I was a swimmer and I just like grew up swimmer at the swim meets. And I just pictured my whole like parenting life would be like that swim mom and stuff. And I have moments of like mourning what I thought would be. And then I have to turn that around and being like, but oh my God, this dance thing is cool too. And I'm like trying to figure it out. Like I had to have a whole meeting and I'm like, I don't understand how this is scored. Can someone please tell me how this, I like took the dance lady aside and I was like, could you please explain the scoring to me? Because I'm so lost. But I definitely, and I think all parents have that. You have a little bit of mourn of like your expectation of what you thought maybe your kids would be or your parenting life would be like, but then also like, let's embrace the differences and see like what an awesome world this opens up to. But yeah, so I've definitely had with both kids. So, but it's awesome also.
I think kids have a way of really, you know, opening your eyes to things that you never even thought you would even know about or be interested in. And, you know, I think that's what's so fun about it. So in the background, so do you have a partner, married?
Yep. I've been married. We're leaving for Hawaii next week to celebrate our 15th and we're bringing the kids. That's everyone's first question is, why are you bringing your children on your anniversary trip? And I said, because I'm not going to go see sea turtles without them. It's such like an experience. So yes, been married for 15 years and he is in orthopedics. He's a physician assistant. So he does total knees and total hips. So
that plays very well with your industry, right?
A little bit, except I am preventative and he gets to the point where they just eventually need the replacement. So
Sarah, okay, so I worked for an orthopedics company and I'm sure we've talked about this, and the thing that they always the orthopedic surgeons loved CrossFit and P90X and stuff like that because they saw so many, and now pickleball because they see so many people come and get repairs.
So I'm a CrossFitter. I CrossFit twice a week still. And my husband said it's keeping him in business, but I will give the caveat of because of the popularity, which is exactly pickleball. So it's not that pickleball is inherently more dangerous than tennis, that pickleball is the fastest growing sport in the country. Yeah. So more people are going to play it. So it's just statistically, you're going to see more pickleball elbow. I don't know if we're going to change the name to tennis elbow to pickleball elbow, but so yes, he jokes. And so if I have a complaint about CrossFit, like I literally cannot say anything to him. So, I love CrossFit too. It brought strength training to the masses compared to what a lot of other organizations or groups didn't do. So, and just like anything, there's pros and cons. I could give you all the pros for Zumba and then I see the cons and stuff like that. So,
well, and to your point too, when it becomes more popular, you also have people that probably aren't conditioned appropriately to be playing those sports or to be participating yet, right? Like they'll get there, but they're just not there yet. Yeah. And so then you've got people that just, their muscles aren't ready.
Well, yeah, we're an all or nothing society. We're either, eating everything or we're on the keto diet or we're not working out at all or we're in 5 pickleball leagues starting next week. Yeah. That's just how we do it. It's just what we do. That's what we do well in America is all or nothing.
So moving into, because that is a perfect caveat. So you're working with some middle-aged women now. And of course, Lori and I are interested in that because me more so than Lori, but we're both middle-aged.
Oh, I'm there. I mean, I'm
it's a wild ride, right?
Oh my God.
So what are you seeing? Like, I mean, I did not believe in the whole like, oh, menopause, like perimenopause, you're going to wake up and have like a belly. And because I was like, that's for people that don't exercise and that don't eat well. And I'm not joking. I woke up and had it's like a ring around my waist, so what are you seeing in the difference between training younger people and training middle-aged women or men? What are you seeing?
It's so funny because I'm literally my own avatar. Like I used to be really into pre and postnatal fitness because I was pregnant and I was postnatal and all my clients were. And now all my clients, I literally just train my own avatar besides my young youth clients, but majority of my clients are just me. Right. So, we're all like I'd say actually all my clients are 40 and up. So we're all kind of in this various stage where maybe some perimenopause symptoms, maybe not. And it's, the average age, it can start as young as 38. You can start to have some symptoms is like kind of the age and then all the way, into the 50s.
Well, I'm 43 and I'm already starting to feel like the emotional, like roller coaster.
That's why I want to go into a forest with a bag of books once every month. Like
maybe he was menopausal.
I could just go. There was a book called The Red Tent. I don't know. I'm a big reader. And it was like Native Americans and tribes, basically, they would, during your menses, you would get to go into a tent for like 4 days. And I was, because, they thought you were fragile and all that. But I'm like, can we bring that back, please?
Yeah.
Like, I would have, we can just, I don't need a tent. I'll just go into that guest room.
Right.
Like, I need 4 days. Just, give me my bag of books and I'm good to go. Like, I just don't want to talk to you for 4 days. Anyway. Yeah. So I think the biggest thing is stress management, and helping your body become more resilient to stress through nutrition, exercise. Energy management is huge. Like we were talking about, go on a walk. You've got to have downtime. And it's also hard because at the same time that we're doing this transition period, a lot of us are like at the height of our career and like earning potential, right? So it's almost counterintuitive. Like you need to rest more and do energy, but also work the hardest you can because these are your highest earning potential years, right? As you build your career up. So I definitely think recovery is a bigger one. And I've really tried to prioritize that. My workouts are a lot shorter volume wise. And then the biggest thing I think is productive is you need to have, it's kind of like the high intensity interval training. You need to have the lots of slow walking, recovery, restorative. And then you need to have a few of those days of higher metcons, but you can't be too much here. And that's the thing is I think so many women tend to work out too hard without this. But also I don't think the middle of the road cardio, the 60 minutes on the elliptical every day, that can tend to backfire because it can increase our hunger and our cravings and loss of muscle mass. So I love a good run or a nice bike ride, but I really don't do it more than 1 or 2 days a week, maybe, because I just think that kind of middle of the road intensity doesn't serve as much as purpose as it used to. So I like that, the shorter, higher intensity stuff, heavy lifting, and then the slower walking restorative stuff. So that's where I think you should spend most of your time from a fitness perspective.
I was just going to say, what about diet? Like, what about nutrition? And one of the things that my doctor told me, because of course I instantly gained some weight, and she said the thing that most women do is what's worked in the past. And that's like reduce your calories a little bit. And she's like, do not do that, because at this phase in your life, your body's holding on to everything. So what do you see in the, nutrition space?
Yeah, I definitely want to prioritize protein and lean veggies. Those are like the two things that, yes, you can technically overeat protein, I guess, but most people really aren't doing that, or they're overeating low quality protein. Just prioritizing protein as well. And then as many like vegetables as possible. And then, and again, it sounds like a broken record, but like the whole foods and like staying away from the processed foods. And I would say a huge shift that I'm seeing is the decrease in alcohol intake. Society as a whole has gone into obviously more of like a sober, curious and thing. But I think when you're perimenopausal and in menopause, it wrecks your sleep. It usually wrecks everyone's sleep. I just don't I don't think I can recover as much. I love a glass of wine or two, don't get me wrong, but I've definitely decreased that because I can see other effects.
Yeah.
So I think the alcohol intake is a big one too.
Yeah.
So I think that's all wonderful advice. And circling back around to, I kind of laugh when you're talking about, like people's being on the elliptical or, or going to the gym and just being on the treadmill. Have you seen, and I kind of know the answer, but in your experience and being in the fitness industry and being in the gym settings, the transition from that, I think there was a point when everybody was like, I'm going to go do 45 minutes on the elliptical. I'm going to go do 45 minutes on the stair climber, to I'm going to do a group fitness class that's more of a HIIT class. I'm going to do more cross training. Have you seen that? Or do you still see those people just go and hammer it out 45 minutes on the elliptical and think they're making a difference?
There's still some old school people. It's funny. When I was in undergrad, we were having 8 to 11 servings of carbs. We were doing 60 minutes on the elliptical, a little bit low fat craze. We were a little beyond that. And then when I got to grad school, we were just doing Tabata and having keto. We were just eating bacon and working out for 20 seconds.
Yeah.
So as my industry is so forever changing, but it still comes back down to the consistent habit. So I do think lifting as a whole is I only teach lifting classes now. I barely teach any cardio. It's maybe 30 seconds of box jumps and then that's it. Right. So I definitely see lifting. And I was going to say that is probably the biggest advice I would give to any perimenopause or menopausal women fitness wise is lift weights. And as my mentor and who I work for, Jill Coleman, she says lifting weights is basically like putting deposits into your metabolic 401k.
Yeah.
And I love that because it is like, so your metabolism doesn't just stop at 40. Everyone's like, oh, you hit 40 and your metabolism goes down. That's actually not true. There's not actually a shift in your metabolism until almost like your 50s or 60s. But what happens is people stop lifting. So then they have atrophy of the muscles and then their metabolism goes down. But it's not because of a magic age number. It's like the lifestyle. We just stop lifting weights. I want everyone to lift weights all the time, lift heavy, get rid of the 5-pounders. I want you to lift heavy for a short time to build the muscle and the bone density. That's probably the best thing you can do.
And I think that's less scary. What you exactly said is you don't need to spend. And I think that's where a lot of women that, haven't been into weightlifting, it's never too late to start weightlifting. And at the end of the day, like, it's okay to only lift 20 minutes, because if you're lifting efficiently and effectively with heavier weights, as opposed to spending an hour with a 3-pound dumbbell, you don't have to have an hour to go lift weights. You can do it in 30 minutes. And
they have research that shows 10 minutes. They have some studies that show 10-minute bouts. And I will say, if you love bar classes and lightweight classes, again, I think there's a place for every type of movement. Is just like I would never tell you to do Zumba 6 days a week or yoga 6 days a week or CrossFit 6 days a week. As long as you're varied, you don't have to give up some of those things that you love. But yes, lift some heavy weights a couple times a week is one of the best things you can do for like menopause, perimenopause, even just as you age in general.
It's funny too, because you're talking about like less time, lifting, more time, you can increase your intensity, but take less time, and then more time resting. And it just mimics what we were talking about with the ebbs and flows of owning your own business. Right. And so it's like, I always just love when you see patterns show up in different areas of your life. And when you were talking about that, I was like, I lift 3 times a week and I lift an hour each time. And I know the body parts I'm doing and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, is that too much? Is that too long to be lifting?
Well, it depends what your goals are, right? I mean, if you are going to be a bodybuilder or really trying to grow certain body parts, I mean, and are you actually spending an hour lifting, or is that warm up, cool down?
It's all the things. And of course, like the 2 minutes in between, because then
we got to go pee at least once or twice, go into the bathroom. I mean, come on.
Yeah. And the research, like, this, but like between sets you're taking, or between reps, you're taking longer breaks than I'm used to. So that's true.
So I would, you need to, see how you're recovering. Like if you're not recovering very well, like you're so sore, you can't get out of bed. You're so tired. I mean, you could measure resting heart rate if you really wanted to, then it might be too long. If you stop getting results, it could be a little bit too long. If you're not able to increase your weights all the time, it might be too long. But again, I think you varied it. It doesn't, we get too blindsided, or we get, so narrow-minded, like it has to be this. If one day you only have 30 minutes, don't not lift because you only have 30 minutes and usually like an hour workout, right? So you can throw in some shorter intensity workouts in there. So I'm not, it all depends. Like, again, you see people at the gym and I'm like, how much actual lifting did you do? So I don't think you're not like, time under tension isn't 60 minutes, right? So again, just kind of pay attention to how you feel, how you recover. And then you can kind of decide if it's too long or not.
So Sarah, let's talk a little bit about soreness, because I think that's an interesting topic. So I think a lot of people will go to the gym, and it goes back to that not lifting heavy, where they go in and they do the same thing every day. And I mean, that's great. They're moving their body, but they're never feeling that little bit of sore. I'm not talking the sore where you can't like move your body, but that little bit of like, I feel like I did something, and talking about how that's probably a good thing to feel a little bit of soreness.
Yeah, it goes back and forth, because I think some people are like, oh my God, I love it when I'm so sore I can't go upstairs. And I'm like, that sounds awful. No. But there are still times, I workout Saturday I did, and it like wrecked me. I was like, I have not been this sore in so long, but I'd also just traveled. I didn't feel that great. There's so many other things that go into soreness. If you are like feeling pretty good most of the time, maybe a little bit soreness, I actually think that means your nutrition and your recovery is spot on. If you are so sore all the time, like every workout is killing you, then something's off with your nutrition and recovery. If it's once in a while, it's a new movement, a new workout, I don't think it's that bad. But remember, the whole goal is to not feel awful, but I think a little soreness is okay. But I wouldn't gauge on the effectiveness of your workout based on soreness, because I did a workout yesterday and I was like, oh, I wonder why I'm not more sore. Maybe it was my relaxing walk helped me recover. But there's just so many components of it. But if you're never sore, then sure, try to lift a little bit heavier. But my biggest gauge is when you're working out, are you getting almost to that failure point in the last few reps of whatever it is, 12 reps, 15 reps, 8 reps. The last 2 to 3 reps should be pretty tough. Otherwise, it's not enough weight.
I found that the heavier I lift so far, when I lift heavier, I actually am less sore. And I don't know, I also started taking creatine, so I don't know if that's it.
Might have
But I mean, I'm a little sore, but I mean, I remember times where I was lifting I would do body pump and I could hardly walk. I won't do body pump anymore. And I loved it for years and years, but now the jerky movements are just too much for me.
But think about body pump too. That's completely an endurance volume workout. That is actually an hour of lifting. That's like 8 minutes of just bicep curls. So that doesn't surprise me that you're super sore compared to 3 rounds of 10. So again, it depends on like the type of workout, but I just don't think soreness it's not good or bad in that sense. You can't be like, oh, I'm more effective because I'm so sore. Or I'm like, or your nutrition's off, or that workout didn't count because I'm not sore.
Yeah, no, it's so true. So with all that you have going on, it sounds like you have a very amazing trip coming up. Besides that, what else are you looking forward to? It could be career-wise, personal-wise. It could be also upcoming additional travel.
I get to do a couple soccer camps in the summer, which is super fun. So I go and just take the kids after they've done their footwork with a soccer company I work with, and then take them just for the strength and conditioning portion. And I just love it because the youngest is about 10. I don't work with anything younger than 10 or 11, all the way up to 18. And so it's just super fun. A big group of kids. I just love that. So I always look forward to that. And then I'm just excited for like just the continued evolution of my business, right? Like what else, these fitness events are really fun for me to plan. I always love teaching at Front Range in the fall. So I'm just kind of excited now that I feel like I know my business is a little bit sustainable or maybe not as fragile. I just look forward to continuing it to grow and working with more people and just kind of getting my message out to everyone.
So besides referrals for all those entrepreneurs out there, obviously referrals are always the like golden nugget for growing your business. How have you also been able to market yourself? It sounds like you're really busy and you're not hurting for clients, but any recommendations or suggestions for those people that are starting out in any industry trying to market themselves?
Social media, it's a love or hate thing, right? Like sometimes I'm on it and I'm like, oh, my message is getting out. And then I'm like, no one looked at this. No one is reading this. So I think that's kind of love hate thing. I do think like a website is necessary and stuff like that. I'm also out in the community in a lot of ways, so I volunteer, I coached soccer for 8 years and I loved doing that. So it's just kind of being known also in person. And even though I don't personal train a lot of my clients, I teach them at Lifetime or whatever, they still know me. They still are aware of kind of my business and stuff like that. So I think, especially for like in person, I don't do everything online. I do have a lot of nutrition clients online, but I think it's being out in the community, even at the school. Like they joke at the school events that, I'm the fitness guru. And so they ask me questions. I run our run club at our school and stuff like that. So I think all of that, even if it's not an exact return on investment, I think it's important to like be out there and have your brand known for that.
Sure.
Totally.
Yeah.
How can we best support you?
Well, thanks for having me on. I appreciate this. Yeah. I mean, you can check out my website. And like I said, I try to post on Instagram ever so often. One of my other big things is just healthy family meals at home, fast. My dinner took 10 minutes last night and the kids thought it was the best dinner they've ever had, even though it took me 10 minutes to make.
Oh my God. What was it? I need that.
Okay. Yes, this was it. Steamed broccoli, slice of sourdough bread, and pan fried ham. And they were like,
oh my God, really? That's amazing.
Yeah. And they were like, Mom, this is so good. And I'm like, well, I just took 8 minutes to make this, but you're welcome.
Can your children hang out with my child? Because I think he is the most picky kid in the world.
Well, see, and I'm a huge advocate of like healthy eating with families and family dinners, but every parent has their own struggle, right? You do not want me for bedtime advice. Okay. You do not want so people joke that I'm going to send them to their house for bedtime boot camp. And because I'm like, why are people still awake? Go to bed. But my kids will eat, like we had ahi tuna bowls the other night. They eat spicy curry. They eat all the things, but don't come to me for bedtime.
Yeah, we all have our strengths.
Totally. So I do have a newsletter, so you can get on my email list if you want.
Okay.
Like I send out recipes, fitness tips. Like I said, on social media, I just put out, here's what my family's eating this week. Here's a recipe. I just want parents to know that cooking does not take thousands of hours and effort. It takes a little bit of effort. You have to get used to it. But just like you don't have to work out for an hour, you don't have to spend 45 minutes in the kitchen every night. You can put healthy, easy, fast meals on the table. I'm just a huge family dinner person. That's like one of our big values is our family. So
love it.
Website is just saralynbaker.com, and Sarah's no H. So just SARALYNN baker.com. And you can sign up for my newsletter there and get some more information on it.
And what's your Instagram? And we'll put them in the show notes too.
Same, Sara Lynn Baker.
Okay, perfect. Awesome.
Yeah, it's easy. Just no H. So that's
yes.
So
perfect.
Yes.
Thank you,
guys.
Yes, it was such a pleasure having you on the show. And, it's always so refreshing to speak to people about fitness and health and wellness. And I don't think, no matter how many times we hear it, it's so good to hear this stuff again. And it's a constant reminder that everybody can be their best selves and it can start today. So.
Yes, and I have tons of free resources on there too. So you can get some workouts, you can get some recipes, and you can email me because I just want, find how you love to move your body and eat healthy meals and just keep moving. So
perfect. Awesome. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you guys so much for having me. Appreciate it.